Hello and welcome to Tech Deals. Today is a very special day because you have a 2-in-1 video. The first part of this video is the unboxing and news event of the Intel i9-9900KS Special Edition 5 GHz all-core turbo, 8-core 16-thread, Coffee Lake refresh, 9th generation CPU. Say that 3 times fast, really fast if you can. This is very cool, and they sent it in a nice presentation box. I'm going to open this up in a minute and show you what it looks like. Spoiler alert, it kind of looks like the non-S chip, but whatever, we'll take a look at it. We're also going to talk about the news. We're going to talk about its features and what makes it different from the non-KS chip, just the regular K. And yes, it's actually, as we speak, because I've already put it on here and tested it, it's currently sitting on my test bench under this Noctua NHD15 cooler. Before we get to that, this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than 25,000 classes in design, business, and more. For less than $10 a month, you get unlimited access to every class on Skillshare. That is an unbeatable value. Whether you want to fuel your creativity, curiosity, or career, Skillshare is the perfect place to keep you learning. An example of a class you might start with is YouTube vlogging, how to start a YouTube channel today. If you want to do what I do, you can use this class to give you an idea of where to go. This particular teacher has almost 1,500 students and 71 reviews that you can read on the Skillshare site. Because Skillshare is sponsoring this video, you can sign up with the link in the video description below and you get 2 free months of unlimited access to every class on the site. That's a deal. Okay, now back to the video. Now, there are no performance numbers in this video. The unboxing and news embargo is lifting, but the performance embargo will not release until October 30th at 6 a.m. Pacific time, at which point a video will publish on YouTube on my channel and probably 14 other YouTube, oh, who am I kidding? 140 other YouTube channels at the same time, telling you what I can't tell you right now because it's still under embargo. But that's not really why I hope you're here. I mean, it's cool, it's nice, I'm making a video, but I'm using this as an excuse to talk to you about something that I personally consider to be more important. And that is, what are press samples, what's a sponsorship, and what are the relationships between tech companies and YouTubers or the media, the press in general? Interestingly enough, when I first started making YouTube content and created a YouTube channel back in early 2016, my mindset was not being a member of the press. I thought of myself as an educator and just making interesting content on YouTube. And okay, I'll make some videos and people will watch them and I'll make some ad money and people will click my affiliate links and they'll buy stuff and that'll be fine. Oh, great. And we'll see where this goes. But at some point along the way, you start to realize that you're not just testing one product, or you're not just saying, well, here's the different cards and here's the benchmarks, but you become a member of the media in the sense that you're reporting on news, you're reporting on press announcements, on product launches, you're getting press releases. I've got one sitting behind here you can't see at the moment with all the details of this. And you start getting invited to events and you go to E3 and you get a press media credential badge and you're like, wow, I'm a media member person. I didn't go to journalism school. I guess there's people who went to college for this and they'd say, you can't call yourself a journalist unless you have a journalism degree from college. Yeah, well, I don't know. My badge at E3 said media, so go figure. In any case, I'm honored. I appreciate that because I hope that when you all watch content that I produce, if I say this product does this product is good, this product is bad, that you believe what I'm saying. And this is true of the other major tech creators. And if I leave anybody's name out in here, it is not personal. It's just I can't rattle off everybody's name. And I'm just sort of going to stick with the big ones. You've got, obviously, Linus Tech Tips, Jay's 2 cents, and those. You've got Austin Evans. You've got Hardware Canucks. You've got Gamers Nexus. You've got Bitwit. You've got Paul's Hardware, and more channels. Hardware Unboxed and Tech Yes City, although he does more used stuff, but Brian's still pretty cool. I like him. There's so many different tech channels making this stuff. All of those people, to the best of my knowledge, do it for a living. And so their income is dependent upon having continued viewership. After all, none of the sponsored stuff, none of the YouTube ads is going to show up if there's no views on the video. If the videos are not honest, if the videos are not genuine, I believe that viewers will sense that fairly quickly. If the wording in a video, if the results in the video does not match reality, if there's an error and a mistake, it happens. But if it doesn't match reality on an ongoing basis, you're all going to stop watching that creator, and that creator's income is going to go away, and then they're going to have to go do something else. So integrity and honesty is a very important thing. And so I'm using this unboxing embargo, which I normally, let's be honest, that's kind of silly. I mean, I wouldn't make a video on this at this point. I probably would have 2 years ago earlier on my channel because I just needed content, and the fact that Intel sent me a new shiny was kind of cool, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Intel. I genuinely appreciate it. But that's something else I want to talk about, which is what happens when press samples arrive and how we respond to it and how we review it and how much information we share with the various companies. I'm going to give you a little bit of background into the process and my views on this. I don't want to put any words into those other creators, but there was recently a bit of a dust-up over on Reddit. Somebody posted claiming to be a YouTuber, and if I can find it, I'll put it here on the screen. It's possible I can't find it because I'm not a big Reddit person, but it got passed around on Reddit, then it got passed around on Twitter, and a bunch of hubbub came from it, essentially accusing several tech channels of secretly taking money to put product boxes in videos, like behind videos. Like if I had shelves here, several people have said, why is your wall white? Why don't you put shelves back there? Well, because this is how I'm doing it at the moment. We probably need to redo the set, but that's a topic for a different time. But some other creators have been accused of putting an NVIDIA box or an Intel box or an AMD box back there and secretly taking payments in order to just sort of stealth promote the brand. Well, let me tell you something. First of all, that's illegal. If you accept money for sponsorship in any form of media, you have to disclose it. If you ever watch my videos that are sponsored, it'll actually say sponsored by X or sponsored by Y. And I'll say, thank you very much to Gigabyte, or thank you very much to Skillshare, or thank you very much to whoever for sponsoring this video. That is a Federal Trade Commission requirement. It is a crime. You can get in a lot of trouble, and a few YouTubers have, for not disclosing when content is paid. So to be absolutely clear, the only time I'm being written a check is when those words sponsored appear in the video. And then down in the video description, I recently did some more Skillshare sponsors, for example, and it said, thank you very much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Couldn't make it more clear that they wrote me a check, and I'm greatly appreciative. Now that's what a sponsorship is. And if somebody pays you money and you're making content for the public and you're not revealing it, that is deceptive. And that's a crime in the United States. And frankly, it's a crime in most of the world. So that would be a very dangerous path to go down because you only have to get caught once. And if you're caught and investigated, you can be in a big pile of trouble because you don't want to get on the government's bad side. Now, that's not press samples. Press samples are different than sponsorship, and I'm going to take the opportunity in this video to talk about that. This is a press sample. This video card is a press sample. This tower cooler is a press sample. This video card came out of this box. The two solid-state drives on here and the Patriot DDR4 4000 here were not press samples. So I don't get sent everything, but I do get sent some things. And I make a point to disclose. I recently did a series of video card videos, for example, and I pointed out which ones were samples and which ones weren't. And I think a lot of people are surprised to find out how much stuff we still have to buy. Even the big channels. Even Linus Tech Tip still has to buy stuff. They do get sent a lot of things. Intel and AMD will shower them with CPUs, but then they'll need another SSD or they'll need a case or they'll need something else. And sometimes they get sent that stuff, but you might be surprised. Occasionally they find it's easier to just buy a $100 case or buy a $50 power supply than to go and start another relationship and get something else sent. It creates an obligation when you get sent stuff. Let me rewind for a second. Let me start back at the beginning because this might make more sense. I sort of started in the middle of the conversation. Yes, we'll get to unboxing this. If you actually came to see this unboxed, it'll be later in the video. Hopefully most of you came here for my thoughts on press samples and sponsorships. When I first started my channel, I created the channel February 29, 2016. We uploaded our first video in the middle of March of 2016. The first 6 months of the channel, I uploaded dozens and dozens and dozens of videos. I want to say it was 100, 150 videos. I don't remember the exact number at this point. This is an unscripted video, if you can't tell. I'm doing this all off of my head. It won't quite be in one take, but it's pretty close to being. I'm just talking, and we'll just edit out the breaks and the pauses from my thoughts. So the first 6 months, most of my videos got like 500 views, 1,000 views. A few got 2,000 and 3,000 views. If you go back and look now, you'll see some of them have like 5,000 and 10,000 views. But that's because 3 years of occasionally getting views and 3 years of enthusiasts going back and watching my early videos to be amused at how bad they were compared to modern videos. Some would say they're still not great, but whatever. So you go back in time and you watch those. They've gained a little bit of views over time, but there was almost no views. Nobody was paying attention for the first 6 months. 2 videos got my channel attention. The which GTX 1060 should you buy, and the i7-6700K versus i7-6800K, the Broadwell E versus Skylake video. Those two, and then the launch videos of the 10 series, of course, kind of gave my channel a jump. It kicked me to another level, and those videos are what got me to 10,000 subscribers and sort of kicked me above, say, the 500 sub channels, which don't get watched unless they get external links, quite frankly. Nobody talked to me. Nobody paid attention to me. Nobody sent me anything. I wasn't communicating with any companies. Every single thing you saw on my channel up to that point, I just had to buy to review. And I poured a decent amount of money into the channel in those early days in order to try to kickstart it, buy the video cards to do comparisons, buy the CPUs and the GPUs, and buy the memory and the SSDs and the hard drives and all the other stuff, trying to create content. I did several other things back then. I did an external drive comparison and a few other things, all of which I had to buy, some of which got views and some of which didn't. As we passed 2016 and started to get into 2017, I started to talk to some early companies. Now, of course, I got offered all of the Bluetooth speakers and the wireless headphones from China from a company you've never heard of. And I took some of that initially and discovered very quickly none of it was worth the trouble and time. They spam channels till they're blue in the face. And to this day, I get 2 or 3 emails a day offering me free stuff from some company you've never heard of in Hong Kong saying, we have a new wireless headphone. Would you please consider reviewing it? We send you a free sample. I don't want a free Bluetooth. I mean, I know many of you would say, sure, I'd love to take it. My integrity, my personality, my sense of honor will not let me take a free product unless I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do with it. A couple of times I've dropped the ball and accepted a free product that didn't really get covered the way it should have been. And to this day, I can think of several of them that I feel bad about. I do. It's just how I am. And so I say no to a lot of that because it's not fair to use my channel to get them to spend money so I can have a shelf full of widgets that I'm never really going to cover properly. That's not how I was built. That's not how I was raised. So that happened. And then something happened that was probably the biggest single jump for the channel, which was AMD finally reached out to me out of the blue. I mean, I was emailing the companies, but I wasn't getting any responses. And then AMD emails me and says, would you like to review the upcoming launch of the Ryzen CPUs? That was a good day. I will not lie to you. I was jumping up and down for joy at that day. That was one of the best days in the life. I felt acknowledged. I felt recognition, my blood, sweat, and tears, and the effort. That was a happy day, and I am not going to make any two bones about the fact AMD reached out to me and said, do you want to review our new launch CPU? And I'm like, yes, I most certainly do. Holy smokes, this is awesome. It is awesome. And if you start a YouTube channel and you start to get, it's one thing to get Bluetooth headphones. It's another thing to have AMD or Intel or NVIDIA or Gigabyte or MSI reach out to you and do this stuff. So AMD sent me the press kit, and that was an interesting launch because I was under 100,000 subs when that happened. If memory serves, I'm not looking at the numbers, I haven't looked at them for months at this point, But the last time I looked, my memory tells me I had 87,000 subs when Ryzen launched in March 2nd of 2017, I believe it was. And that video went through the roof, and the content I did afterwards went through the roof, and that was a big, big time. Unfortunately, that was also the time that I was moving out of my former office and moving back into my home because I got rid of my previous business because I shut it down to do YouTube full-time, separate conversation. So I didn't capitalize on it as well as I should have. Content was rough throughout there because of that. Moving and setting up a new filming thing and condensing your space is always challenging. I was excited. That was cool. And then once I did that, a couple other companies started reaching out. MSI reached out and said, hey, would you like to do a motherboard? Would you like to do this? We got a video card for you. Well, absolutely. That's amazing. Don't kid yourself. The first time you get sent something like this is a pretty amazing day. MSI sent me the GTX 1080 Ti Duke, the triple fan card that was in was it the 2017 $2,000 Cadillac build? The i7-8700K build? That was amazing. That's still my computer at home. Right now as I'm filming this in late 2019, that Cadillac build is still my computer at home. I've done better builds since. I did the $3,000 Cadillac Platinum build. I've done Ryzen builds, but it still does the job. That 1080 Ti Duke that MSI sent me is still in that computer at home, because I don't get rid of press samples like that. When they send me a card like that, that's not only for my use now, but for future comparisons. And so I will take that card out of that machine when I circle back around. I'm gonna do a GTX 980 Ti, 1080 Ti, 2080 Ti video pretty soon. And when I do that, I'll grab that card out of my machine at home, I'll bring it to the office, I'll stick it on my test bench, I'll run the benchmarks, and then I'll take it out and take it back home. Well, actually, at this point, I might stick a 2080 Ti in there. Who knows? We'll see. It's a great card. That Duke has turned out to be really, really nice. The first time you get sent that is amazing. I told you getting Ryzen was amazing. Getting that's amazing. I'm not going to lie. The exuberance is real. The excitement is real. And to be completely blunt, if I were to tell you that I was 100% without bias in a couple of the early press sample videos, I'd be lying to you. Because I'm sitting there with a $700 or $800 video card and a $300 CPU and a thing and a thing and a whatever from them. And it's just really, really cool. And anybody who tells you it's not cool is pulling your leg. It's really, really cool. The first time. And the second time. Then at some point, you have a shelf of video cards, and you have a shelf of CPUs, and you have a shelf of RAM and SSDs. This is undeniably cool. This is probably better than like everyone watching this is gaming CPU. This is going to be the new fastest gaming CPU in the world. I can't tell you what the performance numbers are, but come on. It's a 5 gigahertz i9-9900K. Of course it's going to be the fastest CPU in the world. If you're watching this and you've got a 3-year-old or 5-year-old computer and somebody called you up and said, hey, we'll send you a free $500 CPU, you'd probably be exuberant. What if they offered to send you a second one, and then a third one, and then a fourth one, and then a fifth one, assuming they're slightly different models? Now, your first response might be, holy wow, yeah, of course I'd be excited. I'll take them all. I could use the money. There's no money. There's no money changing hands here. Speaking of sponsored stuff, I do want to go on the record, and this is a legal thing in the United States. I want to go categorically on the record. Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA have never paid me for a video on my channel ever. Intel paid me for one tweet once. There was a tweet over on Twitter. It was part of a marketing campaign they were doing. It wasn't actually CPU related, interestingly enough. So that happened. But in terms of videos, they've never paid me for a video. They've never sponsored a video. AMD's never sponsored a video, and NVIDIA's never sponsored a video. Other companies have. And not just like Skillshare and Dashlane and like those. Gigabyte sponsored a video a year ago, for example, but it was disclosed. It said sponsored by Gigabyte right in the middle of the video, and you'll always get that. So I want to be absolutely clear. If Intel sent you 5 CPUs, you don't get to sell them. It's not money. It's inventory. It has to go on the shelf. They're loaned to you. And in fact, the contract with many of these companies states that this is not being given to you, it is being loaned to you and must be returned upon request. They consider it a loaner. For tax purposes, you aren't being given a gift, you're being lent something. So this isn't something I have to pay tax on, and this isn't something that goes into my inventory, and it's not something I can sell. Intel has the right to ask for this back, for example, if they want to. Several other companies do it that way. So you get very excited when you get sent your first one. But your fifth one is now a video you have to make. AMD recently sent me the Ryzen 5 3600, which as of recording this, I have not done anything with yet. I'm sorry, AMD, I apologize profusely. I'm slack and slow. They sent me the Ryzen 5 3400G, which I recently published a 55-minute long video with 20 benchmarks and a crap ton of detail in there, and it was awesome. That was a press sample that was sent to me in July. Sorry, AMD, it was way late. My apologies. It was late. Everything else happened. I got sick over the summer. What can I say? I also have the 3200G from them, and I also have the Athlon 200GE, 220GE, and 240. I don't know why they sent me all three of those. There's no point. Those are 2-core, 4-thread chips with Vega 3 graphics, and they sent me all three of them. Thank you. I appreciate it. But here's the funny thing. They're sitting on the shelf, and in my mind, it's not money. It's a job. I'm sharing this with you because it's sort of, first of all, it gives me an excuse to cover this. It gives me a reason to cover it. But I'm sure a lot of you watch these videos and you see all this cool stuff that we get to play with. And I remember not being a YouTuber thinking, man, you'd never have to run out of stuff. You always have the best computer and you never have to care. You don't have to buy anything. What a great deal that would be. Well, it's not bad. But once you've done the work necessary to get to the point to where they're sending these things to you, it's not free. I've worked my tail off to get to this point. The hours and the energy and the money invested to get to this point. My filming studio, the camera, the microphone overhead, the lights, the desk. This desk that I'm filming on is a 6-foot wide motorized desk that I can lift up and down, for example. Yeah, that was not $50. I had to buy that. I mean, nobody's going to send me that. So it's a lot of work to get to this point. So I am grateful to Intel for sending this to me. It is cool. But it's also just created a job because the embargo on this lifts on October 30th, and I now have to have a video ready. So there's that. You know, interestingly enough, as I'm sitting here recording this, I'm just going to share my live thoughts with you as I do this. It occurs to me, I could always make this a YouTube member and a float plane dedicated video. That might actually be an interesting video for our supporters. For those of you curious, Floatplane is the subscription-only media service run by Linus Media Group. Linked in the video description below. It's $5 a month. You get early access to videos. I think there's 36 or 38 exclusive videos over there at the moment. And no ads, higher quality video, etc. It's very nice. And then YouTube members, if you see a join button next to the subscribe button, hit that join button, you'll get a page that pops up that lists all the stuff. You get the custom emojis and you get the loyalty badge that'll show up in chat when we do live streams and whatnot, and it directly supports the channel. Unfortunately, the $5 option here on YouTube does not get rid of ads. I have expressed this directly to YouTube, to my YouTube rep, and said, why? If somebody is paying $5 a month, they shouldn't have to watch ads. Unfortunately, I regret to inform you, at least as of recording this video, hitting the join button and paying $5 on YouTube does not get rid of ads. I'm sorry. But it does give you access to the exclusive videos. They are uploaded to YouTube. There's a playlist of all the member-only videos, which you can watch if you join. And so maybe, I don't know. After I edit this, I'll decide whether or not to make it member exclusive or not. If you're watching this on YouTube in general, then I didn't. And if you're not, then I did. So there's that. Interestingly enough, my original plan when I started this video was I was going to make a bit of a joke talking about the fact that, this is not sponsored because I have a blue shirt on and I've got the Intel box in front of me. And I was going to say, there's no way in shape and form that I could ever possibly have any, sponsorship with Intel. And then I was going to drink from my Intel mug. which has been sitting there the whole time, by the way. It's now a little bit cold because I don't have it on hot plate. But then I decided it was a bit too on the nose, so I didn't do that at the beginning of the video. I did, however, put a blue shirt on because I was originally intending to do that. I thought, I'll put a blue shirt on, I'll drink from my Intel mug, and it'll be funny. Unfortunately, too many people do not get sarcasm and do not get jokes, and they'll take it seriously, and they'll run off into left field, and they'll go, oh my God, see, it's proof he's a shill. Shills are an interesting topic. A lot of people throw out the term shill. I've been called a shill recently on my video card videos, interestingly enough. I've recently done a bunch of video card videos where I did the RTX 2060 Super versus the RX 5700 XT Navi. They're both 400R cards. In fact, I tested the exact same model from Gigabyte, which, thank you, Gigabyte, for sending me both of those cards. We appreciate it. But of course, I got sent both as samples, so I'm not biased in that regard. Of course, they didn't come from AMD or NVIDIA anyway. They came from Gigabyte, whatever. But so I tested them and I played with them. And on the games that I tested, the RX Navi was 6% faster on average than the RTX 2060. Now, in some other games, it's actually faster. Sometimes it's 10 to 15% faster on some games, and it's dead even on others. It just depends upon what kind of games that you're playing. And I commented in that video that if I was spending my own money, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not a reviewer, I'm going out to buy a video card that I'm going to put into my personal computer and I'm going to use day after day after day, I would buy the RTX 2060 Super. And there were a lot of comments beneath that video going, oh, bloody heck, it's an NVIDIA shill. Really? Okay. Why? Because I expressed a preference? Because I didn't express your preference? Because I said that the card that was 6, maybe 10% slower is the one I would buy for the same money? Here's the thing. In that video, I gave the reasons. Ray tracing, tensor cores, NVIDIA NVENC encoder. For better or worse, whether it's the hardware encoder or the drivers or the software or whatever, if you are recording video or live streaming, NVIDIA has a better hardware encoder than AMD does. They just do. It uses less of the card, it's higher quality, it's more reliable. I've played around with video encoding on the AMD cards, and it's just been a very hit and miss, unpleasant experience. So NVIDIA has a superior solution there. NVIDIA has RT cores for ray tracing, and they have tensor cores, which are different than ray tracing cores. Are they being heavily used in games and programs right now? No. Will they be in the future? I believe so. Will it matter on a $400 2060 Super? I don't know. But if I was buying a 2060 Super, I'd be doing it to play at 1080p, which is a separate conversation because I know a lot of people say it's a 1440p card, but no, it's not. I mean, it is limited today, but not for 3 years, it's not. If you want a 3-year card, that's a 1080p card. So I would buy a 2060 Super with my own money, based upon what I know today. Over the past 20 plus years, I've owned a lot of AMD cards, I've owned a lot of NVIDIA cards. Both companies have had hits, and both companies have had misses. The HD 5000 series, I had an HD 5850, for example. For its time, it was a great card. I don't regret that one. The R9 series, the i9-9900KS and 295X2s and whatnot, yeah. I actually replaced my 200 series R9 card with a GTX 980 Ti, and that was a nice day. That was a nice improvement. AMD was having troubles with microstutter and frame pacing and drivers at that point in time in the NVIDIA solutions. Once the 900 series, 700 was good, but once the 900 series cards came out, that it sort of took off from there. But I've seen good and bad. I mean, Fermi. Look back at Fermi at the 400 series from NVIDIA. Oh, ouch. Terrible. GTX 480 versus, or 580 versus the 4000 and 5000 series from AMD. So AMD's had some good periods. And NVIDIA's had probably more good periods than AMD has because, let's face it, NVIDIA sells 3 cards for every one AMD sells for a reason. But based upon current drivers and current features, that's my answer. Okay, this is getting long-winded. So people call me a shill because of my choice. I'm allowed to have my choice if I can back it up with a reason. You may not agree with that reason, but if I can back it up with the reason, then it makes sense. Take the i9, forget this chip because I can't discuss its performance. Take the standard i9-9900K versus a Ryzen 9 3900X. Okay, the i9 is faster in gaming. The Ryzen 9 is faster in multi-threaded performance. Which one you should buy depends upon what you're doing. Neither choice is bad. Neither choice, this is like arguing Ford versus Chevy. And you'll get some diehard Ford people and some diehard Chevy people who will put their foot in the sand and say, well, if you like Chevy, you're an idiot. Well, if you like Ford, you're an idiot. What? Both companies have made fine cars over the years. Both companies have made bad cars over the years. Ford Pinto, anybody? So, I mean, but I drive a Ford today, so there's that. And I drove a Chevy in the past, and whatever, I don't care. I just want whatever's good. And so that's why I currently drive a Ford. It was a good deal. I'm not maybe as brand loyal as some people are diehard, like, not in our household, we're not going to have that. I think that's a bit harsh, but yeah, people are funny. So as far as being a shill, let me just say unequivocally that we live in great times where for the most part you have great options. Not on GPUs on the high end. This frankly has no competition from AMD. The RTX 2080 Ti there's just nothing from AMD to even remotely touch it. If you want the best, if you want super high frame rates, if you want 4K gaming, you found your new video card. I mean, that's all. It's expensive. I mean, absolutely. NVIDIA is charging a premium price. You want the Lexus of video cards? You want the Louis Vuitton of handbags? You want the... I was going to say Rolls-Royce of cars, but I guess that would be the RTX Titan. Do you want the Rolex watch of video cards? You'll pay for it. It's an interesting thing. People seem to say, there seems to be an expectation that the highest end product should follow linearly with price to performance with the low end cards. It's like, well, if this card is twice the price of a RTX 2060 Super or twice the performance of an RTX 2060 Super, then it can't be more than twice the price or it's a bad deal. That's not how products work. If you want the best, you pay a premium for it. A Ferrari is not 3 times the performance of a Corvette or a Dodge Demon or a Dodge Viper or pick your $100,000 sports car. A $300,000 Ferrari is $300,000 because it's a Ferrari. Frankly, the new C8 Corvette may outperform quite a few Ferraris. That's sub 0 to 60 times. Okay, have my video editor put a beep in there and we'll just rewind. 0 to 60 times under 3 seconds on the $65,000 version of that car. Wow, performance for the money. And it looks amazing with a mid-engine. I mean, I haven't driven one. I don't know if it's any good. It's been years since I've ever even sat in a Corvette. But it looks good. The performance numbers sound amazing. But it's $65,000. Well, it'll probably be $75,000 or $85,000 by the time you check the option boxes and get the heated and cooled seats and the nav and everything else. But whatever. It'll be under $100,000 for a sub 3 second 0 to 60 Corvette with a mid-engine. Wow. And yet Ferrari will probably sell every $300,000 car they build. And they probably have a waiting list 6 months long because it's a Ferrari. Expecting this to be a deal is not realistic. Just because you want it to be cheap doesn't mean, frankly, a hill of beans. So it is what it is. What else do I want to say about sponsors? I debated filling up the entire desk with products just to make the point, but I thought, that's overkill. I don't have to do that. This is, I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't. This is a Athlon 220 GE. It's the middle CPU, 2 cores, 4 threads, 3.4 gigahertz. Okay, the 240 GE is 3.5 gigahertz. In fact, you can still see the CPUs in there because I haven't done anything with it. I have tested the 240 GE. I will have a video on that shortly. I debated testing the 220 GE and the 200 GE, but why? They're so close in performance, it's utterly trivial. The only real difference is like 100 or 200 megahertz CPU clock speed difference. That they will all have Vega 3 graphics. So you get sent this and you think, well, that's really nice, but now it's content I have to make. What I wish I had done is told AMD, look, just send me one. I don't need all of them. That's silly. But, well, they did, and, well, there it is. This is a very cool cooler, and I'm looking forward to reviewing it. This is the Cooler Air Master Maker MA620M. Bad name, cool product. Well, I assume it's a cool product. I haven't tested it yet. But what they've done is they've taken the basic design from the Wraith Ripper and applied it to normal CPUs. It's expensive at $100. And actually, it's still in there because I haven't taken it out yet. But Cooler Master sent that to me to review, and the reason I'm excited to review it, the number one feature about this that I really, really am looking forward to is easy mounting. Previous Cooler Master coolers had awful mounting systems, and in fact, I did a build video where I spent 20 or 30 minutes screwing around with the awful cooling system, the awful mounting system on the TR4 Cooler Master cooler that went onto the 2950X. In fact, if memory serves, that's where that went. Oh, if you watch the build of that, I got into a bit of a rant complaining about how awful the mounting system was. And that was a press sample. Cooler Master sent me that. And I specifically said in the video, yeah, no, nobody buy this. It's awful. In fairness to Cooler Master, they responded favorably because I didn't completely trash them in the video. I mean, I basically said, look, you know, it's this was a big fat pain in the neck. They've now changed it. This is a 2-screw mounting system. So I'm actually excited to cover that. But now I have to test it and video it. And because it's got RGB, I really need to do some B-roll on it. I've now got like 2 days of work to make this all into a pretty video. For a cooler I didn't need. And so press samples are cool, but it's just a job now. It's cool intellectually. This is the problem with unscripted videos. I ramble. You should listen to the conversations with me and my wife. Sometimes she's like, I have to go do the dishes and laundry now. And I'm like, why? And she goes, because I'm full, because you've talked for 20 minutes. Oh. All ragging on their mounting system aside. 2 screws, simple installation, single fan in the middle, mounts on everything except TR4 because that's what the Wraith Ripper's for. I'm actually excited about it. The only problem is the price. It's $100. It's too expensive. If it were $70, I'd be really thrilled with it. But if you want ease of mounting, this may be your cooler. This will actually end up going into one of my wife's computers because she complains that the Wraith Prism RGB coolers on AMD are too loud because that's what she's currently got on her 3700X. Sorry, Intel, but she does. The Wraith Spire coolers are nice, but the Wraith Prisms are not. So we're going to replace the Wraith Prism with this and make it nice and sweet. I may have her in that video and have her give you her personal point of view in terms of going from one to the other just from a computer user. Not benchmarks or tests or noise samples or recordings or anything else, but just like, honey, okay, you tell the audience, what do you think? You know, was it good? Was it bad? Did you notice a difference? And just let her talk. So that's the plan with that. In any case, so I have my Intel News Bite under embargo until Monday, October 28, 2019 at 6 a.m. Pacific time. What's it say on the back there? Am I allowed to tell you that? I assume I'm allowed to say that. Maybe not. I'll have to ask them if I can disclose that because this is the Intel News Bite and this says Intel Confidential. It says performance press reviews embargo until Wednesday, October 30, 2019 at 6 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Oh, 6 a.m. Pacific Time. It'd be good not to screw that up. I thought it was Eastern Time. So, what does this say? I'll put that aside there. What's new? Intel today announced full details availability for the new 9th generation Intel Core i9-9900KS Special Edition processor, delivering up to 5 GHz all-core turbo speed out of the box for the ultimate gaming experience. The 9th gen Intel Core i9-9900KS will be available beginning October 30th with recommended customer pricing starting at $513. Intel, I love you, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Okay, so the non-KS chip, the K chip, was a recommended price of $488. It was higher than that at launch, but it quickly came down, or well, it was unavailable for a while, but it's currently available about $490, $480, $490. Why? This actually makes my head hurt. Why would you ever make a product, ever, anywhere in retail, for $513? It's an odd number. In fact, all 3 digits are odd numbers. 513 are odd digits. Why would you break the 500? Why wouldn't you make it $499? Why would you just not make it $499 and just be normal? I mean, AMD launched the Ryzen 9 3900X at $499. Of course, it hasn't been $499 much. It's higher, but it is what it is. Free advice to Intel. Take the i9-9900K and lower the price to $449. Release this at $499. Make the i7-9700K $349, which it's a separate. We won't talk about hyperthreading and all that. Make that $349. Make the i5. I guess you can make it $249. $199 would be more interesting. I don't know. That's a separate conversation. The entire retail world works in $199, $299, $399, $499, $599. That's just how the world works. Why would you release this at $513? This special edition processor will be available for a limited time only and can be found at retailers worldwide. This is not a replacement for the K chip. It is a limited edition. It will come, it will go, the regular K chip will stay. If you want one of these, don't wait for sales and discounts. It's kind of like the i7-8086K that was released a year ago. It came, it went, it was gone. So if you're interested in this, get one. Why it's important. The i9-9900K processor, KS processor, is unlocked and boasts 8 cores and 16 threads and up to 4 gigahertz base frequency, 127 watt TDP, 16 megabytes of Intel Smart Cache, and up to 40 platform PCI Express lanes for gaming and overclocking. Key features and capabilities. I'm just going to read these. We're going to have some fun together. Up to 5 gigahertz all-core turbo frequency. Up to 4 gigahertz base frequency, which allows games to run faster when they scale across more cores for higher frame rates. That's true. I read all that. Compatible with existing Z390 motherboards. This will work on a Z370, but it's ideal on a Z390. Whatever that means. Up to 27% faster megatasking when you simultaneously game, stream, and record compared with a 3-year-old PC. I gotta be frank with you. 27% more speed over 3 years is not impressive. I became an adult in the 90s. I grew up in the 80s. I remember the 286 to 386 to 486 to Pentium transition. You didn't have 27% more speed in 3 years. Your computer was junk in 3 years. 1991, we had a 386DX25, which was pretty nice for 91. We spent almost $3,000 with that with Gateway 2000. It was a 386DX25 with 4 megabytes of RAM, an 85 megabyte Western Digital Caviar IDE hard drive, a Tegson Labs ET4000 video card, a 14-inch Super VGA color monitor, a 3.5 and a 5.25 inch floppy drive. That was a nice computer for 1991. It was nearly $3,000. 2 years later, in 93, it was basically obsolete. Strike Commander, Falcon 3.0, I mean, they would run on the 386, but it was rough. There was a bunch of games that came out, 92, 93, that just really were rough. So we went big. We thought, okay, well, I mean, I was fairly young at the time. Mom and grandfather helped with the price because it was expensive. But we thought, okay, forget this. Because we'd already had to do some upgrades. We'd already added some storage. We added a 130 gig Seagate IDE hard drive for $400 in '92. We added a tape drive. We upgraded the modem from 2400 baud to a 14.4 modem. Gateway had a really good special for $95, which was unbelievable. $195. I think it was $195. I don't remember. Anyway, that was an amazing deal for the time. 6 times faster speed. That was absolutely amazing for the time. So by 93, it was just not cutting it anymore. The drives were completely full. The performance with the 25 megahertz processor wasn't there. And so we went into Computer Shopper, remember the big, huge Computer Shopper magazine, and we found a company called Aries, which I don't know whatever happened to them. They were a small company. And we had a custom-built machine made for us that was nearly $5,000, which 1993 and 2019 money, it's not quite 10 grand, but it's like 9. Yeah, how many of you building $9,000 computers today? That was expensive. It was a 486 DX266 with 16 megabytes of RAM. We had a 1 gigabyte Fast SCSI 2 hard drive because IDE had not yet broken the 540 megabyte limit. So the 1 gigabyte hard drive. The motherboard had ISA, ESA, and VLB ports. Anybody remember ESA? Enhanced Integrated Architecture and VESA Local Bus. The video card was a VLB, a VESA Local Bus card, and the SCSI card was an ESA. It was originally supposed to be a VLB card, but actually they contacted us in testing and let us know that they were having compatibility problems with having 2 VLB cards installed, and so they switched over to an ESA SCSI card just to avoid the compatibility issues. We had a Sound Blaster 16, and what else was in that? We had a 15-inch Super VGA, or XG actually. It was a 1024 by 768, non-interlaced. Remember interlaced monitors? That was a 1024 by 768 non-interlaced 15-inch Super VGA color monitor, and probably a few other things I can't remember at this point. Nearly $5 grand. Sweet, right? Great. 2 years later, Windows 95 came out. Now, Windows 95 would run on a 46. Not well. Yeah. I had an intern machine. I won't get into the rest of the details because the video is already too long as it is. But in short, I briefly had a next-gen 5x86 P100, which AMD bought and turned into their later chips. Long story about what happened in next-gen. And that got replaced within a year because it really wasn't very good because of compatibility issues. In 96, I got a Pentium 166. And then it gets kind of fuzzy after that because I started doing a lot of upgrades because I was in the computer business at that point. And so basically my system was constant. It never stayed static at that point because by that point I was an adult. I had a computer business and I was doing upgrades for other people. And so I used that to constantly cycle new stuff into my machine. But I know I had a Celeron 300A at one point overclocked to 450 megahertz on a BX motherboard. That was awesome. And I know I had a Pentium 3550, which didn't do much over the Celeron 300A at 450, but it didn't really cost me anything because I was swapping parts or whatever. And then I had either a 700 or 733, and then I switched to Athlon. When Athlon hit a gigahertz before Intel, I had one of those, and then I had one of the Thunderbirds, the T-Birds, and then an Athlon XP. And frankly, I had AMD chips from that point all the way up to the Core 2 Duo, which kind of crushed the Athlon line, but that's a story for another day. Why am I telling you all this? Because the entire point of this rambling... See, this is the problem of not scripting videos, is this happens. The point is, in the 90s, your computer was junk in 3 years. And that's not true anymore. 27%, that's 27% faster performance when you simultaneously game, stream, and record compared to a 3-year-old PC. That is a very specific scenario to claim a 27% performance jump over 3 years. I'm going to be blunt. That's sad. That's legit awful. It should have doubled. Up to 35% more frames per second compared to a 3-year-old PC. Yeah, but that's probably also taking into account a 1080 Ti in a 3-year-old PC and a 2080 Ti here, which the video card's doing all that. Up to 17% faster 4K video editing compared to the previous generation, and up to 78% faster compared with a 3-year-old PC. Well, I hope so. It's got 8 cores. The 3-year-old PC had 4 cores. If you go from 4 to 8 cores, that's going to happen. Pay no attention to Ryzen and Threadripper. 1 year a 1 year warranty? I'm legit surprised. This is the first I've actually read this. A 1 year. Okay. I mean, if a CPU works for 3 days, it works forever. You know, so long as you're not pumping way too much voltage into it or overclocking it way beyond sane or doing LN2 and stupid stuff to it. I mean, if you run it at stock speeds at 5 gigahertz, this will last forever. But, well, forever's a long time, but it'll last longer than you'll care about. But 1 year, come on, that's cheesy. Overclock confidently with new and enhanced features like Intel Performance Maximizer, which makes it... I can't discuss performance. You gotta wait 2 days for that. Gamers and overclocking enthusiasts will be able to take performance to the max with the 9th gen Intel. Only select chips from Intel wafers can achieve this to run. All quantity is limited for the special edition product. For more information, etc. Well, before you guys... I wonder what Intel's going to say about having an AMD product in their video. Well, they didn't pay me, so, you know, I can do what I want as I drink from my Intel coffee mug. Hey, AMD, send me an AMD coffee mug. Why have you guys not sent me an AMD coffee mug? Gigabyte, why haven't you sent me a coffee mug? Attention all product companies. I drink 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day. Send me coffee mugs. I will drink from them. I think it's time to unbox. I know what I was going to do. I was going to mention that these are press samples. This is a Z390 Aorus Pro Wi-Fi that I have not done anything with yet. They sent this to me. Wow. You know what? They sent this to me when the K launched. This has been on the shelf for a while. For those I've done absolutely. I'm so sorry, Gigabyte, but yeah, it's been in the box since they sent it to me. And then MSI sent me this, the Meg Z390 Gaming Pro Carbon, which, these aren't new boards, by the way, when they send these. This is the Media Sample Performance Qualification, which lists what they put in here. This was tested, let's see here. This was tested with an i7-9700K. I don't know why, but it was. It was tested with DDR4 2666, so they did not test XMP RAM. It was tested with a 1080 Ti, a Samsung 850 Pro SSD. That's odd. Windows 10. Interesting that they actually listed the benchmark results that they got on it. Lists when they tested. This was tested September 20th, 2018 is when this board was tested. What does it actually say up here? Dear editor. Yes, we do get this. We get sent all kinds of stuff with performance. Intel, for example, sent me a page with what to expect in the benchmark numbers on this 9900KS. Yeah, I promptly took it and went, don't care. I'm testing it myself. I don't accept benchmark numbers from the manufacturer and then just regurgitate them. I'm not free PR. Well, I guess I am free PR for them, but I'm not going to just regurgitate their numbers without testing them. So I briefly glanced at it and went, that's nice. So this actually has a bunch of information, which I never looked at because I don't care. Yeah, they actually provided benchmark numbers with this, but I don't look at those. It looks nice. But this has had a CPU on it, and this has been tested. And the CPUs we get often aren't new either. They've been tested as well. In fact, most of the Ryzen CPUs that I have received over the past 2 years still have residues of thermal paste on them. So they're not new. Even though they come in a pretty box, they're not in, and they're sealed. The irony is the boxes are sealed. But when you take the chip out, you can just see just around the edge of the chip the thermal paste where they were tested. So I need to do something with these. But you see, if you guys are thinking, well, you got some free motherboards. I guess, but again, like I said earlier, I can't sell these. These are press samples. These have zero value to me because they have to sit on the shelf and I have to do something with them in a video. But the problem is you end up with more of them than you can ever use, and so you end up with a shelf full of them. So there's that. I know what you're all going to say. Giveaway time. They're press samples. They're not for that either. Okay. Grand event time. We're going to do the unboxing of the i9-9900KS. Okay. Is this the dumbest thing ever at this point? Are you ready? Drum roll, please. I should really have like the camera zoomed in and set it up, but I can't be bothered, so I'm not going to. How do you open it? There we go. Come on. We'll get in there. Ooh, shiny. This is a slightly different variation of the same hexagon shape that the regular K comes in. I'll push that aside because do keep in mind that when you buy one, to the best of my knowledge, you do not get one of these boxes. You just get this. This is a press thing, I believe. Now, you may notice this is already opened. The CPU is on here. Once you cut the seal that's on the bottom, you then take that off. This separates like so. It's just two pieces of plastic. It's nice looking plastic. And then in here is where the CPU would be. But it's not because it's on here. I've already done all the benchmarking and testing. I did them last week. So if you're watching this on October 28th, come back October 30 for the benchmarks and numbers. I'll offer you this thought. It is an i9-9900K with a 5 gigahertz all-core turbo. I will discuss performance relative to the regular K chip. I will discuss performance relative to the Ryzen 9 3900X, which I have retested with the latest BIOS with Power Boost Overdrive on. Because my launch benchmarks on the Ryzen 9 probably shouldn't be used at this point because there's been like 4 BIOS updates since then with several revisions and some improvements to the boost speed and whatnot. So I retested Ryzen 9 for this. And I'll have some benchmarks. I'll have gaming and non-gaming benchmarks for you on October 30th. And beyond that, now I get to put this thing back together again, but for the moment I'll just leave it just like that. In any case, as always, like this video, comment down below, make sure that you're subscribed, hit that bell notification icon for notification for future videos. This has been a long rambling. I did not expect this to go like this. So if you're watching this, thanks for hanging out and watching this otherwise silly video. I'll have to find out from Intel whether or not I can put that other thing in there or not. If there was nothing in there about the Intel paper, then I couldn't. And if there was, then you know what I'm talking about. Thank you all so much for being fans and supporters and for watching my channel and for being a member of the Deal Nation community. All business issues aside, all affiliate links and revenue and income and sponsorships and product samples and everything else aside, I love technology and I've been tinkering with this stuff for a long time personally. I geek out at this stuff, I legitimately do. But it is also my job. This is what I do for a living. This is my full-time career. This is how I pay for my mortgage and pay for food for my kids. And so it is work and it is a job and it is important to me in that regard. But it is also very cool. So there's a benefit there, and I certainly do appreciate it. And I recognize that there's a lot of channels on YouTube you can watch besides this one, and the fact that you choose to spend your time with me is greatly appreciated. Or Floatplane if you're watching this on Floatplane. Although this will not be early access on Floatplane because of the embargo. The one big thing I cannot do early access on, because embargo means embargo. So this won't go up any earlier on Floatplane than it will on YouTube, because I have to respect the rules. I signed the paper, I agreed the thing, and so it is what it is. In any case, thank you so much for being a member of our family, at least while you're watching our videos, and I will see all of you next time.